Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the live. It must be Tuesday. Yeah, it must be noon. Every Tuesday at noon. Coming at you. And grateful to have an audience doing the work that you're doing out there. I'm coming in really on a high note right now. I spent the last hour with my coach, and I think every person in the position privileged enough to do this work must also have somebody that is in a lead guide role. Because guess what? Um, I help leaders get unstuck on a regular basis, but it begs the question: what happens when I get stuck? Right? What happens when I get stuck? How important it is for all of us, I think, to be having somebody up top, right? Um, that is playing a guide role to us, regardless of who you are, how successful you are. There's always somebody out there that has a few more reps, right? But also to have somebody that you are playing that role to. Isn't that kind of what the gift of life in being able to give and receive in that dynamic? So, my man Q, just so appreciative for the time we're able to spend together on a quarterly basis, sometimes face to face, sometimes just through a phone call. But the guy knows me intimately, and the guy knows how to both support, which I need, and challenge, which I also need, right? And to do it effectively. And I think over time, isn't that something that we just learn how to mature into? Because individually, we're kind of like I went to the grocery store the other day and grabbed the cart, the one with the stuck wheel on the front. It just kind of wrestles to one side, and you have to kind of wrestle it back. Yeah, we're like that as humans, aren't we? Aren't we? We just have a leaning towards, well, this is my natural design, and yeah, I'm normally maybe overcritical to what is right and what is wrong, or I'm normally kind of passionate and emotional about when stress and pressure pick up. I'm normally just a few minutes late because I'm always trying to do that last minute thing. But those normally things get in the way of our influence. And yeah, I was reminded today, work through an issue, actually work through a couple of issues today. And yeah, some of it stung. Some of it didn't stink, but definitely stung because yeah, that's what we call learning, right? That's what we call growth. And got 3 grandkids. Does not put me in the position where I sit down and quit learning and quit growing. I tend to do that for the rest of my birth to death, that dash. Today, I want to talk about the question that's maybe costing you your best people. Over the last 3 months, have you had anybody sneak out the back door and you go, "How are we going to replace that?" That actually was the theme of uh, my interaction this morning with my guy. But yeah, but first, a little just a backdrop. Let's create a bit of a story here. So last spring, um, yeah, it was late afternoon, probably about 4 o'clock. Superintendent, name is Sarah. Okay, I'm not going to say last name. Sat in her office and just staring at this resignation letter from her best principal in the district. The letter was very polite. It was standard, right? But Sarah knew better uh, because what the letter didn't say, it mattered more, really did, than what it did. It was the between the lines stuff, right? What she inferred. I wish my superintendent knew that I've been like drowning the last few years, but everyone expects me to be bulletproof and have it all together. Yeah, the brutal truth, I think, that everybody needs to hear, whether you're leading an educational system or um, building snowblowers for a living. We Nobody wants to really admit we've professionalized leadership to death, right? We've done it in all sectors. We've created systems where the people, who know the most are heard the least oftentimes. Can you think of an example? Yeah. Where vulnerability gets mistaken for weakness, where that distance between the corner office and in many cases just that classroom, it grows wider and wider every single year. And you're allowed to feel completely disconnected from, what your people are really experiencing right now. Boss, you're fighting your own VUCA. The volatility, the uncertainty, the confusion, the complexities, the ambiguity. You're allowed to, but every great leader I know has felt exactly what you're feeling when they realize that they're making decisions based upon their you make an ass out of you and me assumptions instead of what reality really says. So here's what's at stake. While you're trying to figure out why your best people keep sneaking out the door, in many cases, if you're directing a school system, you got students, right, whose futures they're depending on you creating those environments where great people can thrive, right? And that cost of silence, it's not just a professional faux pas, right? It could be a generational issue where you're not making the best decisions that are going to impact a generation. Let me hit you up with some data. It may be going to shake you up here a little bit. National Association of Secondary School Principals report, recent one, says that 73% of district leaders feel disconnected from the real challenges going on in the buildings, right? Meanwhile, 67% of principals have considered leaving their position due to lack of understanding from district leadership. So it's an understood, rationalized gap on both ends, right? But here's the number that maybe should have you bolt upright each night. Leaders consistently overestimate their understanding of their team's challenges. And it's not even in double digits, it's in triple digits. Okay. Nearly 300%. Just misunderstanding, not understanding their team's challenges. So three months ago, last spring, I was working with a cabinet team. Really smart people, really smart, decades of experience. The superintendent pulled me aside. We had a little bit of a break and said something that, yeah, kind of softened my heart a little bit. He said, "Joe, we've got this amazing talent, and it took me like 7 years to create the dream team, right?" But he said, "Somehow I feel more isolated when I was a first year principal." It's just I call it the conference room feel, conference room leadership. Can you relate? People come in all starched up. "Oh, I love your whatever." Just comments, superficial comments, the conference room feel, right? You bring your coffee in, everybody's polite to each other. In this case, I watched those leaders in the conference room for 2 days, individually brilliant everywhere, but zero, zero collective intelligence. It just wasn't there. People would look to the most important person that understood budget stuff, but the budget stuff had ramifications and impact to everybody, right? They were making critical decisions about students' futures based upon incomplete information because we were looking right over there, but not looking with the head on a swivel, right? Because nobody felt safe sharing what was really happening in that space. Can you relate? Or is that just incident, outlier? I don't think so. I don't think so. I've actually seen this pattern in every district I work with, at every campus that I work with, from small rural to urban to uh, community college to university. We promote people based upon their ability to handle challenges alone, and you build your paper, right? And that paper goes with you from one district or campus to the next, and they go, ooh, yeah, and then wonder why they burn out when those challenges continue to multiply. I call that the ceiling of capacity. You just reach this individual capacity ceiling. Mhm. So it's hit me, over and over and over again, especially during the summertime where we've got retreats and people are starting to open up a bit more. Um, I see it when leaders are operating really in isolation. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't just affect them. Uh, Faculty retention starts to drop. You see this ripple effect. Student achievement, graduation rates, retention, all that stuff starts to stagnate, and the community confidence begins to erode as well. As Q shared with me in our little jam session this morning, if he is not the healthiest version of himself, doing a lot of the community work that he does, it's diminished work, right? So the power of one working with the power of thousands, it has a multiplying effect for no bueno, not good. Right? When the adults can't connect authentically, the entire system it suffers. I think that's a gulp moment. How many of you right now, be honest, feel like you're making important decisions without all of the information you need? Mhm. It's an oldie but a goodie. Remember City Slickers? Curly on the horse? I don't remember the actors. Billy Crystal. Um, it was kind of this philosophical moment where Curly was saying, "Hey, the one thing. You just gotta know the one thing. The one thing." Remember the one thing? Yeah. If you're the boss, if you're the executive leader, if you're a leader of your organization, you gotta do one thing. You gotta do one thing really, really well to keep your preferred parking spot, boss. Anybody? Go ahead, throw it in the chat. What do you think? What is that? The one thing. I have to give it 8 seconds if I'm a good teacher. Miss Becky would tell me that's wait time. Yes. Okay, there's 8. There's 8 se The one thing is you gotta make great decisions, boss. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. You gotta make great decisions. Uh-huh. Easy peasy. But you can't make great decisions without what? You gotta have real information, not just the conference room feel, if you know what I mean. You gotta have real information. How many places have you been to that have that the conditions and the culture where real information is exchanged without somebody getting shot on the spot, right? I that was a little aggressive, Joe. Yeah, I know, but metaphorically, just like disempowered or overpowered, mhm, subtly or overtly. How many of you have talented people on your team who seem just really disengaged during meetings, kind of checked out? Got to get milk and eggs and what else on the way home today? Yeah. How many of you go home wondering, "Hey, what am I missing that everyone else seems to know?" Right? That gap. The research is clear about the gap. Okay, that pattern is universal. We're trying to solve complex problems with these sanitized information sessions, right? Instead of raw truth. Um, yeah, I'm not going to get political, but I don't know. Sometimes the data. What is the jobs forecast? You didn't want to hear that. You don't want to hear the interest rates. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we have the same. I don't want to hear that. Off with your head. Okay. No more politics. No more politics. What I have discovered, let's just go scholarly, with breakthrough teams, and when I say breakthrough teams, of the hundreds of teams that I've worked with, one hand, that's how far differentiated the breakthrough teams, uh, what I call the ones that can move beyond that assumption trap, that invisible barrier that keeps good leaders from becoming really, really, really great ones. Yeah. Amy Edmondson, egghead, smart person. She's written a few books. Harvard educated. She revealed something really shocking. Teams with psychological safety, they perform 76% better in complex problem solving. Sometimes we think, oh, it's just, you pass the little cush ball thing around. That's psychological safety. No, psychological safety allows you to make the really hard decisions together. Psychological safety is what gritty teams have. Yeah, but only 31% of campus leadership teams create those kind of environments. Okay, where members really feel safe during real challenges. hmm just think about that. We're trying to solve the most complex problems in society, educating our youth, okay? Changing family trees, creating greater opportunities than our parents had with incomplete information because our people don't feel safe telling us the truth. Maybe that's not your case, and if that's you, welcome to the differentiated club. But most teams are really, really average and kind of conference room feely, right? Here's what happens in your brain when you operate on assumptions instead of inquiry. Inquiry takes courage. Uh, your that prefrontal cortex, maybe it's over here. Yeah, that center for creative problem solving, it literally shuts down because the blood is filled with bad chemicals, cortisol, and yeah, and you just cannot access your highest leadership capacity when you're disconnected from reality. It takes vulnerability to be curious, right? Dr. Michael Fullen analyzed 200, and many of you have analyzed his work, right? So I'm just reminding you 200 educational leadership teams and found that leaders who they regularly practiced structured inquiry, they achieved way more, almost 50% better student outcomes. That's a lot, folks. Why? Because they were making decisions based on real stuff, on real truth instead of just assumptions. So this really explains a ton, doesn't it? I've been seeing struggling districts and struggling campuses. It wasn't about the individual competence because on paper, holy smokes, how wow, wow. But in practice, yeah, think about that for a minute. How many of your people on paper look better than they are in practice? Don't name names. Yeah, these are your brilliant ones on paper. It was about the absence of what I call truth telling intelligence. It really is. The ability to create environments for that to happen, the ability to create the conditions where reality really gets shared. It's not hidden. And there's no fear, nothing to fear, nothing to hide, nothing to prove. When you lack that truth telling intelligence, it kind of shows up as, cyclical same problems recurring every semester without real solutions. And your people are getting paid pretty handsomely. You're paying a lot of money to just kind of recycle problems. NG, not good. You've got talented people feeling just undervalued, marginalized, misunderstood. That's never good because that creates disengagement, right? You've got decision making, one that isn't real clear. It sounds good in boardrooms, but it fails when it gets down to where the activity is really happening, right? Leaders carry just this weight of problems that maybe shouldn't be distributed, but you've got to find the right people in your organization to help you solve those problems because I, as a leader, wasn't equipped to solve all of my problems. Okay, I'm not wired that way. I need a healthy team. I need to know who can do this better than I can, who sees it differently than I do. For years, I saw the world as I thought it was. Yeah. And that life moment when I saw the world really as it really was. So that impacts innovation, just dies because people stop contributing their best and they operate out of fear, and nothing good comes from that. Fear and creativity, they cannot coexist. Mm-mm. I heard that this morning. Good reminder. Thanks, Q. Love you, bro. Then I just discovered simple questions that they revolutionized how those leaders connect with their teams. So look this up. This was why I picked this subject. Miss Becky came home. She's building her new teacher orientation material right now. And she showed me a YouTube video of Kylie Schwartz, okay, famous by now, bajillions of downloads. She's sitting in her classroom on a Friday afternoon, frustrated because she couldn't understand why many of her students were struggling. And instead of making more assumptions, she tried something radical. Look it up. Look it. It's really good. You'll spend the 15 minutes watching. She asked her students to complete one sentence. I wish my teacher knew. We're just translating that a little bit differently today, but just their responses. A few of them that she shared on the video. I wish my teacher knew I don't have pencils at home to do my homework. Oh, not a problem. I wish I would have known that. Right. I wish my teacher knew I haven't seen my dad in 6 years. Ugh, that's got to really suck. She wouldn't say suck. She's a third grade teacher. I wish my teacher knew I'm nervous. Back to that anxiety loop, Q. I'm nervous all the time. It was simple. It was honest. I think it was revolutionary because here's what that teacher did. She discovered that learning accelerates when leaders understand the hidden realities of those they serve, not that sanitized version. Fill in the bubble, and Scantron runs the report, not the committee approved talking points. Mm-mm. The truth. The truth. What research does tell us about the kind of structured inquiry, it literally rewires how teams think together. You know, when leaders model curiosity, they model the way. They inspire the heart to do the same, to do the same, right? It creates what psychologists call relational energy. And all of us can point to a place in time where that relational energy was real. It was the fuel that just sustained the kind of performance that you were really, really proud of, and not everybody can get to. Brene Brown, shame researcher, she shows that teams practicing structured vulnerability, they perform 2.3 times better on innovative metrics. The mechanisms are really simple, aren't they? When leaders replace that assumption piece with inquiry, that truth telling becomes really the pathway to break through. So here's the very practical part of this, folks. Lean in. Here's what I want you to do. How do I get into truth telling, Joe? Yeah, don't be stupid about it. Don't be. I've seen just things that have blown up in the face of leaders because they just didn't have the wisdom, discernment to know how. Real simply, wait till your bus routes and everything is taken care of, food service and all those things are dialed in. But then when your leaders have a presence of mind to get back into growth mode, send this question to them. This exact message, okay? Hey, team or name, I'm trying a new approach to understand how I can better support you this year. Would you complete this sentence? I wish my boss knew ... You can sign it or you can stay anonymous, your call boss, your choice. How about that? Hey, I'm trying a new approach this year. I want to understand how I can better support you, Jim, you, Cindy. Would you complete this sentence? I wish my boss knew ... Again, anonymous or you can sign it, your choice. That's week 1. Week 1. Week 2, um, you're gonna read these. You're gonna put your Kevlar on, okay? You're gonna put your big boy, big girl pants on, and you're gonna read the reactions. Okay, this for many of you, for you feelers out there, this is gonna be the hard part. But read every response and look for patterns. Resist or just resist the urge to defend or explain. Again, you've got nothing to fear. You hired these people. Most likely you trust them. Why wouldn't you want to know? So you're just going to read through those responses and look for patterns. Okay. Then week 3, have individual conversations. By that time, you should be having one-on-ones. Boss, if you're not having one-on-ones with your employee, I think they're the most important meetings that you should be having with it across the ROI in terms of your meetings over the course of a month. One-on-ones, 10x, 10x more impactful, more important than any of the others. IMO, in my opinion, right? Did I get that right? Is that what the youngsters are doing these days? Yeah. Yeah. So week 3, follow up. Hey, have those individual conversations. Use some phrases like, hey, thanks for trusting me with this. That's going to keep the doors open. Help me understand more about, and then this specific issue or this pattern that you're seeing. And then ask, what would good look like? If you want to trade up, say, what would great look like here? Do that during week 3. Okay. Week 3. And then week 4, you're going to share back. You're going to bring just all of those anonymous themes to your team. And you're going to say, kind of dress up that day because you're going to want to really present well. You're going to say, here's what I learned about how I can be of better support to you all collectively together, right? And make it measurable. So when leaders implement this protocol, the results are going to be consistent. Trust me on this one. You're going to build trust. You're going to build innovation. Some of the people that you thought were laggards are all of a sudden going to be these front of the line. Hey, I've had an idea here, and I think I think the time is right. You're going to go, what the? You're going to see retention improve. You're going to see your culture start to become a place where engagement just rockets and more people really enjoying the work. You're going to have decision making, that one thing, that accuracy just improving because it's based on reality, not your assumptions. Right. So, but here's the most important, I think, really the most important part. When you model curiosity, lean in, and vulnerability, not bulletproof, it cascades throughout the organization. Your teachers, your faculty begin sharing real challenges, and your students see adults working together authentically. And don't we need to see more adult behavior, the good stuff happening in our world today? That entire culture begins to shift from performance to truth back to higher performance. Huh? That's how it works. The speed of trust, Stephen Covey, right? So if you don't intentionally create the truth telling environments, you're going to stay stuck. Here's what just inevitably is going to happen. Your best people will just continue to suffer, and they're going to be on job.com sneaking around on your time in silence until they find maybe a leader to work with that actually wants to know what they're experiencing. You'll keep losing talent. You won't be able to recruit the best stuff out there. Not because you're a bad person, you're a bad leader, but because you're leading based upon really incomplete information. So the personal cost might not be a whole lot. I think the professional cost, the system of education is broken. Anybody want to argue with me there? I'm going to say the public system of education is broken. Oh, Joe might get canceled. Most people agree with me. And the only thing that's going to turn that around, it's not this superpower leader that has the, ooh, look at that paper. Wow. This is the one that's going to come save the day. No, that person might build a team that will recreate the system, that will create a culture that really believes that the system can be sustainably excellent. That's the hope that we have. But it's not in that solo leader who, oh, I'm jumping ship here because I'm going to save the day over there. Never, never, ever has that happened. Mm-mm. But the cost can be devastating. You'll continue making decisions in isolation that affect really thousands. Yeah, you'll watch your talented people just disengaged, collecting their paycheck, um, but they're still not being heard. They'll lay awake at night thinking, yeah, I wonder what I'm missing. I wonder what it'd be like to work someplace else. Right. I wonder what it'd be like if my boss really knew me and knew how tight I want to wear that team jersey. But right now, I feel invisible and quite vulnerable. Yeah. So consider this: the average campus leader, superintendent, influences like maybe 50 leaders. Okay. Here's math: that 50 leaders, let's say 1,000 faculty and teachers. Okay. That 1,000 faculty and teachers, maybe 20,000 students. When that leader operates in an information vacuum, the ripple effects touch the entire community for generations. But when they create truth telling, those environments, the conditions that are a little more vulnerable, a little less about assumptions, they become a force multiplier. There's some good Sourcewell language. Anybody out there? I usually, where's my, oh, last week, I did Comet Coffee. Today, Sourcewell. There it is. Yeah. They talk about force multipliers, and they are a force multiplier. Mm-hmm. For everybody in their system, everybody in their community, everybody in that. I had a conversation with the ED. He happened to be 30,000 feet in the air. The conversation, I needed some information and he sent it to me and I said, boss, there's a typo there. Because I was working with them when they were in the millions of dollars of flow through contract accounts, what they do. He sent a number that said 13 billion. I went, whoa, there's a typo here. He's like, no, there isn't. No, there isn't, because they have become over the last 10 years a forced multiplier beyondo. Like not wow, but whoa, really. So imagine just leading with that, just complete information about what your people are really experiencing. And, you picture the team meetings that you sit in, just like wanting to just chew your skin off. Right. But now where real challenges get shared and solved instead of just this hidden agenda and cycled and recycled stuff, and we just endure another meeting and we break out of the huddle saying, great meeting, when inside you're just like, I hate my life at work. Yeah. Just envision making complex decisions with the confidence that you need because you understand the actual impact on the people implementing them. Yeah, your budget meetings where you hear the truth about what's really working and what isn't, where you're falling out of demand and you don't like run scared because, oh, what if the people hear this bad information? It's not crisis, it's just truth, right? Imagine your crisis response where your team's honest input creates more solutions than you ever could have seen alone. How about retention? Everybody is wrestling with retention right now. Those conversations where your people feel heard and valued instead of just isolated, and pedal harder. and misunderstood. But what if that weren't the case? What if the dinner time conversations about the culture of your workplace was just a little bit better and was a little more delightful? The question isn't, how do I get my team to perform better? 60% engagement is about the average right now. The question is, how do I create an environment where my team feels safe enough to share what we really need to know to succeed? You don't owe your past leadership style an explanation. I woke up and said, it's a new day. I'm a new Joe. And that's the attitude that I bring to the game. And that's the attitude that I've been inspired to follow as well. I think you owe your future impact the kind of truth telling culture that makes breakthrough results possible. Not just average, sustainable, not broken too much, not creating a lot of news headlines. No, the best kind of stuff, right? So let's bring this into a close. Right now, before the stream ends, I want you to do something that will maybe change your trajectory for the year ahead. Okay. Take a piece of paper, your keyboard out, and just draft a message to one person on your team. Just one person. I'm working on becoming a better leader, and I would value your honest input. Would you help me complete this sentence? I wish my boss knew ... about anything related to our work together. And you can share as much or as little as you want. Send that today. Send it before you second guess yourself. One person, that's it. Just one person. One question. And watch what happens. And if this thing turns on you and it is not good, I'll buy you a coffee. I'm just confident. It's worked for me. It's worked for hundreds of people. And here's another thing. I just want to offer you. I've developed just a free 5 minute. I call it Team Intelligence. It's an assessment that reveals exactly where your team excels in truth telling and where you're operating maybe on dangerous assumptions. This is the time of the year to do some baselining around how intelligent, how healthy is our team. 5 minutes per team member. The aggregate is pulled together in a summary report. I'll share it with you. No question, nada. No, free. We'll get on a Zoom call. I'll share the data with you, and you can take and do with it what you please. But it's based upon just the science of engagement, the science of belonging, the science of meaning, the science of just being human, right? So next week, we're going to dive into the real reason why your initiatives fail, those hidden patterns that sabotage you, your team, your system, and some strategies to really push against that gravitational pull. But you have a choice right now. Okay. You can continue leading based on assumptions about what your people need and what they're experiencing, or you can build the truth telling intelligence that transforms good leaders into great ones. And folks, I believe that your community deserves the good leaders moving to great ones that are going to make more reliable systems. Yes, that are going to impact for generations to come. So most leaders are operating with 40% incomplete information. That's inertia. That's assumption. That's WAGs, if you will, budget leaders, right? You just don't know your team's real challenges. That means you're making critical decisions affecting thousands of people without understanding really the full picture. So in education, where every choice impacts children's futures, come on, are you kidding me? It's not just inefficient, it's unconscionable. So be the leader that steps into the octagon to ask those questions. One question, one person today. hmm So we're going to wrap this thing up. I would just ask, take that 5-minute team intelligence assessment. You can find it real easily on my website, higherperformancegroup.com, higherperformancegroup.com. You'll see a little button that says discover your team intelligence. Click on that and away you go, boss. Just a couple of clicks and you're in. This tool, it will reveal exactly where your team excels at sharing truth and where maybe that's danger, those assumptions where they're hiding. Yeah. So don't keep leading in the dark. Yeah, 'tis the season to, I think, bring the light in, right? I think for many of you, if your hearts are good, if you are planning to be intentional and less assumptive and a bit more vulnerable, this is the year. I think you're 3 feet from gold. This is your year of breakthrough. Yeah, maybe that's a little prophetic, but we've had a couple of really, really tough years, and I don't know, I looked at your game schedule this year, and it doesn't look like, you've got any soft opponents. So we're gonna have to not muscle up, I think link up. That's what it's all about. Link up with your brilliant individuals. Get rid of that conference room leadership feel. Be vulnerable. Uh, go first. Don't let another day pass just making critical decisions without really having the full picture. So, yeah, I so appreciate y'all. Peace is a big thing in my world. I pray for more of it every single day, and it comes only intentionally. And I pray that your peace would be intentional this year, where you navigate based on your purpose, not the waves and the wind out there. They're going to be there. Just wake up realizing, but the purpose will prevail. Um, yeah, your physical health is really important because you got to have the energy to prevail as well. Boss, you got to keep showing up. So keep yourself healthy and surround yourself with the people that are going to support and challenge you, like Q has for me. So before we go, hey, if it opened your eyes to the power of asking better questions, hit the like button and subscribe to the channels. Do what the kids do, whatever that is. I'm not quite sure, but apparently your engagement, it just helps to reach more leaders who are making decisions. Sometimes in those information vacuums. But here's the thing: most importantly, if this really hit home, and you want to go a little bit deeper into truth telling strategies for your leadership team, your context, let's grab a virtual coffee. I have one a day. They're the best part of my everyday. A virtual coffee. The link, it's in the description. So wherever you're watching this, just go to the description right now, and you'll see that in the link. It's completely on me. Little virtual coffee time. I'd like to get to know you and some of the challenges that you're navigating, because sometimes the most powerful leadership breakthroughs, they come from the simplest questions asked with genuine curiosity. So the question, I think it's waiting, and yeah, it's your choice. Thanks for joining me today. Remember, just great leaders, they don't have all the answers. Don't think that you do have to. In fact, when you try to fake that you do, your people kind of step back from you. Ask better questions. Stop assuming. Let's just start asking, right? Your people are waiting to tell you exactly what you need to know to help them succeed. That's why you're here. That's why you're on purpose. Um, yeah, your community is counting on you. Your team is ready for it. And I think your legacy really depends on it as well. Stop leading in the dark and start asking the questions that change everything. I wish you knew ... Again, thanks for joining me today. Remember, the solution you need they're not in the next conference room or consultant's proposal. They're already in your building. Yeah, you just have to ask the right questions. Peace, friends.